principal for the summer of 2018. Is that clear in the is that clear? Is that how you needed it worded?
Mayor.
Crystal?
Mayor
and council. Okay.
nominates.
All right, so part of this motion will be that mayor and council nominates instead of recreation. This is a great program for kids and adults to utilize in Hapeville, and we're looking forward to having this approved so that we can once again use the SFSP grant during the summer months. In prior years, this grant has been approximately $16,000, and this is a non-matching grant. So is anyone prepared to make a motion on this item? And when you do, please insert the caveat of mayor and council nominates Holly Lovins as the delegated principal for the summer of 2018.
I just wanted to make a comment, and it really speaks to the leadership of the rec staff. I believe this thing was cut so much in the prior General Assembly's budget that, I mean, it's a really good honor that cities can still even apply for this. And the reason why was that there was so much fraud occurring, particularly I believe it was in Southwest and Southeast Georgia. One person that was running, I think it was like 136 separate of these programs, was just laundering the money. So it speaks to sort of why you do things, and like with the intention and the good heart of the rec center. I mean, this has been going on for years now. So I mean, with that, I think this is a good program. So anybody else wants to make motions, I can.
I'll make a motion that we approve, that mayor and council approve Holly Lovins as the delegated principal for the summer of 2018.
And if you would just state that we accept participation in the summer food service program.
And that we accept participation in the summer food program as well.
Is that clear enough, Crystal?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next item up is consideration action to authorize a time extension for the Dogwood Drive LCI streetscape project. Due to adverse weather conditions and utility conflicts, Triscapes Incorporated is seeking an additional time extension on the Dogwood Drive LCI streetscape project. They're requesting a time extension until June 30th, 2018. If granted, the extension would replace the revised deadline of March 31st, 2018, and liquidated damages in the amount of $450 a day would begin on July 1st, 2018. I think the course of discussion during our work session leads me to believe that June 18th or June 30th is not feasible. So is anyone prepared to make a motion on this item?
Motion to deny.
Okay, motion to deny. Do you want to give a different date, or are you saying deny?
Maintain the same date. Maintain the current date.
Okay. So a motion to not grant an extension is what basically what your motion would entail.
That's correct.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
What's the current date?
March 31st.
March 31st. So you want them to start paying damages Sunday?
Date prior, yeah.
All right, motion, is there a second? Going once? Going twice? Motion dies due to a lack of a second. Is anyone else prepared to make a motion on this item?
I'll see if I can kill another one. Consideration action, authorize time extension for Dogwood Drive LCI streetscape project effective April 30.
Through April 30, motion to extend through April 30. Is there a second to that motion?
Due to rain.
We got a second. Discussion. There being none, all in favor of the motion?
One second,
Like you want to say
please.
something.
I do. I'm trying to hold out. No.
I know exactly where you're coming from.
I share your pain.
Give me
We all share that pain.
one moment, please.
Okay.
1 second, please. Just doing some quick math. You said it was $2 million project, Lee? If they finish at the time that they're saying that they're going to finish on this document, that's 1.8% of that project cost. If we I mean, that's why I said leave it at March 31st. So, I mean, it'll be 1.2% if we do it at April 30th and they still don't finish by April 30th. So I think we'll just be here again in the first meeting in May.
No, but I think if we approve April 30th, I think April 30th should be a hard draw the line in the sand. And I think that's.
Just direct staff not to bring it again.
Yeah, I think that's just a line in the sand.
Do you want to amend your motion that there will be no further extensions, or you want to leave long enough alone?
I just think we direct staff not to bring another extension.
All right, so we got a motion and a second still alive on the floor for a April 30 deadline extension. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed? And the motion passes 3-1. Okay. Tim?
Finally, it's springtime in Hapeville, and we have opening day this weekend, something we can, I think, all coalesce around for some smiles. April 7th, we've got our parade, we've got t-ball, baseball, soccer, we've got a 5K at 8 in the morning, and so we're all looking forward to that. Also,
No 5K.
no 5K.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, I'm sorry about that.
This is 0K this year.
And I haven't won it all.
No raise right now.
And also on the 14th, so that will be Saturday after next, we've got the first of our 6 coffee and crumbs.
Sure. All right, this time I'll entertain public comments, and I'll start on my right-hand side of the room. And my left.
Katrina Bradbury, 921 Margaret Street. And Bob and Luke had to leave, but they asked that I make a couple of comments, which I wrote on a piece of paper and then I played over there and I'll wing it. That first of all, we appreciate the time and effort that you guys have put in for us and to listen to, the residents' comments. We did have almost 100 petitions requesting some help on traffic calming to help make our neighborhood safer. So we'd like those to really be considered. I know that the traffic study committee that the police department had, apparently, I don't know how many people they talked to, there's reference to 7 here, not to discount any of those 7, but so I'd like for us to really consider that, we had almost 100 people individually signed petitions, and some of those were one petition signed by a couple. So that represents quite a few of the residents over there. And I wanted to also thank you for, and the committee for working on the designation for the area. I understand that should allow ticketing if you are over the 25. Do I understand that correctly? That that's what the point is?
Yes, that was the
is?
purpose of
Okay.
making it a residential area.
Okay.
Because that way we can go 1 mile over.
Okay. And then also, we wanted to point out that the study numbers that were included with the agenda, that the volume, because that's one of the biggest issues is the volume of cars that go through the neighborhood, because we're completely surrounded by commercial. So that the volumes that are here are, in one directional. So when you look at it and you say, well, okay, at this particular date that were chosen, or time that was chosen, this particular street was 602. That was, that was one directional based on this. So obviously there's another
You
side
gotta
of the
get in
street.
and get out, right?
Yeah, there's another side of the street, so there most likely was someone on that side, might not be double, but, and that a lot of that volume is condensed within a few hours. I would venture to say that there probably aren't as many people on that road, on any of those roads at 2 a.m. as there are at 5, 5:30, 6, the times that our kids are getting home. So I just wanted to draw attention to that we consider that when we're looking at the study. We appreciate the study, but that we look at the fact that it is one directional. So, but thanks for everything, and we look forward to the next meeting.
Thanks so much, Katrina.
Oh, I did want to clarify something unrelated to that. Even though you've already voted, I did want to clarify that the difference on the pilot between what the city would have gotten had we passed the truth was 4.5 million, not 500,000. It was 4 because I just looked at the chart up. So it was an additional, it meant an additional 4.5 million revenue to the city, not 500,000. So I just wanted to clarify that error.
Thank you. Any other comments on my left? Council? I think Charlotte, I'm sorry, I didn't see. It's on. Yeah, yours, yes.
It works better for me when I hold it.
We're gonna send that thing back.
I wanted to comment on a couple of things. One is the film series. Lee and David reminded me after I spoke that indeed we turned the program over to the city after the first year, but that wasn't an immediate change on the date. It stayed on Saturday for at least a couple of years after that, and maybe a few more years than that. And one of the most successful experiences we had was in combining that with something else that was going on in the city. And we had this group that was doing food courts, secret, you know, where is it going to be and what's the food going to be like, and they were going all over Atlanta and making these announcements at the last minute. So we worked with them so that there would be one of these events in the early afternoon in time for the people, and it was at the village church, in time for the people to leave there and come to the film series. And we had folks from all over the place that came for that reason. And that can provide us with a model of what we can do if we handle this film series right. Things have changed now, and we have Archie's Brewery doing things in the afternoon that could feed people into the film series, and we have these wonderful restaurants that are now open late that they could spend a half a day, 3/4 of a day in Haple and have a good experience. So I'd like for us to think about that as you think about whether to go with a Saturday or think about Friday. And then I want to pass these, take one and pass one.
Bill, I comment? Sure.
That's our newest exhibit at the depot. March was Women's History Month, and this exhibit was put up in celebration of women's history. It turns out that this year, 2018, in April, is the 170th anniversary of the passage of the New York Married Women's Property Act. Now, that's a significant piece of legislation. It was passed in 1848, and it was the first time that married women had the right to own property in their own name. So in celebration of that anniversary, we decided to leave this exhibit up for the rest of the month in April. To come back to what I said earlier about making an event, we sent out these posters. Actually, one of our folks delivered posters and flyers to a number of businesses in Haple, including Arches. And Arches sent some people to see us on Saturday. They had an event, and we had people that we'd never seen before, who'd never heard of us before, who came in and enjoyed the exhibit and left with a favorable impression of our city. We have over 150 women represented in this exhibit. We've used the resources of the National Women's History Museum and the National Women's History Project in Washington, D.C. for the images and some of the stories. We have a 1923 woman's bicycle, a Mead Ranger, that was loaned to us by Clay and Julie Mullican. He restores bicycles, and this is one he bought to restore, and it hasn't quite made it yet. But what's important about it is that for women in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they couldn't get driver's license, so they couldn't drive. However, the bicycle provided them with a way of transporting themselves around and contributed to that whole evolution. So I'd like to invite you all to come. We'll be on exhibit Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 5, all those days. And I'll put some of these little flyers out in the lobby, so anyone else who'd like to see what we're up to.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate what you do for Hateville. Thank you so much. All right, any other comments on all that?
I would just like to comment on Charlotte. I saw the exhibit. It's fabulous. And I think everybody should take some time out and go see it.
Thanks so much. Council comments? Councilman Morrison? Oh, okay.
More on the left.
All right.
I know that y'all have already voted on the police car issue, but I think this would have been an excellent starting point for the city to start saving some money on unnecessary expenses. I continuously see all those police cars in that police lot. They're not all, they can't be all junk. I'm sure that there's those cars, and I'd like to clarify something, because I didn't previously in no means meant that the car should be, the questionable car should be put back in service at the possible expense of the city that it serves. That's not my intent. My intent simply was to be 100% if it's safe, and it could be brought up to a safe, usable condition, because if all of those cars can't be junked, there's got to be some out there that could be used. For example, if it's got a bad engine, $3,000 to $4,000 to replace it. Bad transmission, $2,000 to $3,000. If it's needs front end complete rebuilt, $1,000. Brakes, a couple of $100. There's enough cars out there that could be brought back to a really good condition without having to be in the position to spend that kind of money on a brand new car. And I think y'all should look into that. And the last thing that I would say is I find it very interesting that 8 or 9 years ago, we went through the very same thing. We had lots of signatures, but nobody came forward for speed bumps. After the study was done,
That's good.
Thank you.
after the study was done, it was confirmed an extremely small percentage of people going over the posted limit. Extremely small, about 1%. And afterwards, the situation totally went away after they were told there is no problem. And I also find it interesting this time that an independent study has been done, and it shows that there's not a problem, and we continue to hear complaints about it. And I think this subject, at this point in time, it needs to be closed.
Any other comments on the line? Council comments?
Go on.
Morrison?
I'll make a motion in just 1 second to amend the agenda, but reflecting on what he just said, Department of Homeland Security is going through a current surplus for gently used Dodge Chargers. I'm not sure how much gently used in the desert sense is gentle, but DHS, by way of GovDeals and a few other websites that we use to surplus our inventory off of, they're actually on a different schedule, so sometimes they won't show on the GovDeals website. But through GSA's schedule, we can probably get Dodge Chargers at a really reduced rate. They would have to be completely overhauled by a mechanic, but I think we should explore that. So a little bit of direction there. Okay.
Let me try to put this in perspective. I understand the desire to save money. Let's say you come into the emergency room that's been built back in 1972, but all the equipment is old and it has been refurbished. And they don't have the capacity to revive you if you come in a cold situation. Yet up the street you have this a flagship type of healthcare system here, whereby they have all the latest and greatest equipment. What do you think that you want to go? You're going to want to go. What do you think the driver's force is going to be where you're going to have new employees wanting to come to work? This place that have all the new bells and whistles, or this place that have all the equipment whereby we can't resuscitate patients effectively? So that's why I want us to get into the mind frame of that, to put things into perspective, that I think that it's good that we want to save money, but when it comes to public safety and life safety, we have to step outside of the box and not make money as the driving factor of things.
Can I readdress that comment?
I'd really rather not get in a debate, Larry. I understand, I respect your opinion.
Debate.
I do, but the situation is, you look at the cars in the parking lot. We cannot run, and you know this because you work on cars. We can't run these police cars that are hard miles 24 hours a day. So we have to alternate the cars that are on patrol. We can't run them all the time. So that's part of what you see in the parking lot, is the second shifts or the next shift's cars, that when the next group comes on duty, they'll man those cars. So again, and as I said, we've got 1998 Crown Vics that are still on the road. If we weren't squeezing all the lemon, all the juice out of this lemon, I don't know what else we can do.
Well,
I respect your opinion.
I did not mean to compromise any car.
No, I understand that.
But I totally know that a lot of these cars that are questionable could be brought to pristine condition for the service that they're, expected to perform, by having some money spent on them instead of, $46,000 for a new car.
I think we're doing both.
Yeah.
I think we are spending money on cars that are used and have high mileage. I think we're doing both. Occasionally, we have got to enter new cars into the fleet, and this is one of those occasions.
I'd like to motion to amend the agenda to add executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Is it notice of litigation that we've received?
Yes.
Okay.
If John Nils aware of that case?
May or may not be.
I am not.
Need to
With the police force?
get that ahead of time, so that we have an attorney here that is familiar with whatever the case is.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure it was active. Yeah, all right, so there's a motion to amend the agenda to discuss an executive session pending litigation. Is there a second to that motion?
Executive session's always on the agenda.
It's not.
That's what I thought.
It's not
It's
tonight.
not.
That's fine.
No, it was asked, are there, we will sometimes put it on there as a filler, but it was not put on tonight, but it can be amended, it's a
Okay.
allowable call. So is there a second to that motion?
A second.
All right, discussion. All right, all in favor of amending the agenda for pending litigation, executive session, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, so we were in council comments. So Travis, do you have any more council comments?
Yes, sir. And I heard just somebody say, of course, like it's my time to say these, so. I already stated my comments on Virginia Park traffic calming discussion, so I'll make sure to duly forward those to City Manager Tim Young. And paraphrasing, I'll give you the index of what I'm wanting to talk about. I came up with my little nomenclature too. So 2018-0403B, transparency, live streaming, and website modernization discussion and action. 2018-0403C, water meter modernization, loan discussion and action ideas. 2018-0403D, tourism product development consultant and board discussion, action ideas. 2018-0403E, smart communities, video-enabled households discussion and ideas. 2018-0403F, red light and truck safety solutions and discussions. 2018-0403G, private placement bonds, documentation and posting discussions. And then these last few were added the other day. Some of these were discussions I would have had at the prior meeting as well, so I do apologize. H would be bucket cells. It's a term referred to in the sale of alcohol. J is craft brewing competition ordinance. And to summarize, I believe all candidates that were running in the previous election had one thing in common, which was the desire to see increased transparency by way of document retention, by live streaming in city meetings, and by modernizing our website and its hosting platform. Talked with AHA Consulting, which is a sub-part of Municode. They provide two services, which I believe could call for a sole source because they're pretty much the only ones that do the web hosting and can also do code rewrites. So I can forward that to the city manager. They also do website modernization. I think our website's due for an update. Jumping to the next thing, water meter modernization loans. I had a conversation with Amanda, I'm forgetting her last name because I didn't write it down. My notes either, at the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority earlier this week regarding loans at low interest rates, in particular to continue the progress to update our existing manual water meters to all be digital. The conservation, also known as the Water First Loan through GFA, has a 20-year amortization schedule at 1.25% interest with the possibility that's almost always granted of principal forgiveness. So you actually end up paying less over time, and it also meets the need of better infrastructure over a 20-year period. They highlighted that Thomasville, Georgia recently had updated 5,000 and they're seeing happier customers and more accurate reads. And it also reduces staff time by way of being able to read digitally versus not. In terms of tourism product development, thankful for Senator Nan Orrick. Also thankful for Representative Dreyer as well as Representative Schofield for shuttling along Senate Bill 412. General Assembly just completed, and in this session we had a request by way of resolution to increase our hotel motel tax from 7% to 8%. Both chambers of the General Assembly agreed to that, and that's just pending governor's signature. That being said, I think there is a desired call to action to have a project list, and what I would also see as the need for a part-time consultant position, not to exceed 20 hours per week, that would provide functional oversight of this funds. In addition, to make it a little bit more of a democratic process and also spread the burden of compliance, I think the development of a tourism product oversight committee should be discussed in upcoming meetings. I brought it up a month ago. There is the Smart Communities Challenge discussion that I wanted to have. I think I brought this up actually via email. Georgia Tech is doing a Smart Communities Challenge where they match dollar to dollar funds put forth via the city. Again, you have to win the option, the grant, apologies. In talking with the company Ring Incorporated, they also provide a dollar-to-dollar match and discounts. What I'm proposing in this scenario is that the city put forth $14,000. It's matched by the company doing a respective $14,000 discount, and if we win the grant, another $28,000. In total, giving us $56,000 for the purchase and distributing of 290 Ring doorbells. Why I think this solution in particular would help. Currently, you see things about gunshots and petty crime almost on a daily thread on Nextdoor.com. A city nearby Hawthorne, California, ended up installing 40 cameras in a 400 parcel neighborhood and saw over a 6-month period a 55% reduction in crime. Matching that to what I'm proposing here, I think $14,000 well spent, regardless of if we get the grant or not, could provide a measure of which we could get 11.6% of our households in Hapeville enabled with high definition video. And it would also add to the effectiveness of Chief Glavisek's RAP program, Residents Assisting Police. I think this data, I'm not Big Brother, I think it remains in the hands of the residents, and they in no way can be forced to give it over to the city, but the kind request, essentially an understanding if this was to go forward, the desire would be that if a crime occurred on your street, we know who has video, and so I think it just makes us a much safer community. Continuing with the conversation with regards to Virginia Park neighborhood and the progress I believe we made today and we'll make at the next meeting, I would like the city to reach out to OptiTraffic LLC. They're a Maryland-based company, but they're one of two that really have this technology in the U.S. One is a novel red light sensing technology that can be used to augment Hapeville Police Department's policing of red light violators. Additionally, I think for our neighborhoods that have large trucks that drive through them, regardless of posted signage, they provide what's referred to as the Sentinel. It's a LiDAR-based above the road truck height enforcement system. So essentially, if we were to go with something like that, you would have to modify code to state that no truck zones are actually trucks below a certain height zone. And I asked them, is it their software weeds out UPS, FedEx, any large truck that's coming through. The benefit of this, and I don't want to focus on it from a revenue perspective, but it's